just not do anything.
Alright. Hello, everybody. I was asked to make a podcast by several people, mostly because of my voice, but I don't know. I have too many rants just kind of stored up in my brain for me to just not do anything with them. So, oh, okay, thank you, loud ass Windows notification. That's very fun of you. Anyways, this is my first time ever actually using my microphone for something, so if it sounds like shit, now you know why. Anyway, and also if I sound nasally or something, that's because JT gave me his sickness a week ago, and I'm still not completely over it. So that's why. Anyway, what I'm going to be working on today is the Mario mandates, which is essentially a bunch of, I guess, IP constrictions on the freedoms of the spin-off games in the Mario series. And it's a very difficult topic to tackle for reasons I'll get into later, but I'm just gonna go over I need to make sure that I'm actually driving home the point of what they are, because I didn't do this when I thought this through in my head. So what they are is essentially past 20 sometime in the early 2010s, because they'd never publicly released anything about these. They just a lot of Mario games stopped making original characters or using original characters. And they just kept on using the same cast of Mario enemies like Goomba, Koopa Troopa, things like that. If you've ever played Sticker Star or heard of its infamy in the Paper Mario community, you know what I'm talking about. It removed a bunch of original characters, original species, and it in short just handicapped all capacity for the games it affected to have a story. So this is, of course, a very big deal, especially in the games that are like Paper Mario, where their story is a rather big deal of their game. Like Super Paper Mario had rather bad gameplay from what I've heard, but it also had a really good story from what I've heard, and that made it worth playing for a few people. So when something like Sticker Star comes along, everyone's like, oh, okay, that's just a bad game, and blame the devs. But it's not really the devs' fault. They've got the IP team on them from Nintendo that's to blame here. And there, again, nothing about these has been really released to the public, so we don't really know what we're talking about here. We've only had a few dev interviews to go off of here, and it's a very inconsistent application of the IP restrictions. We can assume that they were caused by things like Super Paper Mario and Super Mario Galaxy, which put a lot of story into the games and made it a lot less recognizable, I guess, from a brand perspective. So that is probably why these were put into effect. But then again, it's Nintendo. They just entirely hate their fan base. So you never really know. Either way, the reason this is a really difficult topic to tackle is because we don't really know what it affects and how it's affected. Because again, Paper Mario was completely hit hard with this. They are allowed no original characters, and unless they self-destruct by the end of the game, sometimes for no reason, which of course handicaps story. It affected the Mario and Luigi games to some capacity. It seems like it would be with in the entry Paper Jam in their series. It didn't have any original characters barring Starlo and Tasma on a battle card, if you count him, but I don't. And Starlo has been in the past two games and is just there as a oh, this is the next objective character. So did it affect them? According to a bunch of developer interviews, they had no IP restrictions. They just chose it because they wanted to focus more on the relationships between the paper characters and the real characters in that game. However, I'm also going to assume that they were sort of um like affected by it, because if the developers of the Paper Mario games can't create original Paper Mario characters, surely a game development studio that doesn't work on them regularly wouldn't be able to either. So, who really knows what's going on with them? I'm just going to take the developer's word. I'm not holding this microphone correctly. Hopefully my audio was just not absolutely horrible for that. I'm looking at like the volume bars on my screen, and those are not looking very promising. It'll probably be fine. Who knows? Anyway, let's see. Pulling up my notes app again. What exactly was I gonna talk about next? Okay. So. Oh yeah. So there's a bunch of different parties that it can affect. Like, it's not even third-party game developers like Alpha Dream or Intelligent Systems. It could be speculated that it affects mainline Mario games too. So, I don't know if you've really heard, but again, I don't really know how much you know about the Mario community and its games. However, there was a large period of time where Nintendo just put out for its 2D platforming Marios. It's just about the same game over and over and over again with little differences. There's only like 4 out of that entire series that are actually like unique or worth playing. So, we don't know if they are we don't know what's affected here, but if Nintendo handicapped like the actual main branding and source of original Mario content in this IP restrictions, then what were they thinking? Then again, maybe they didn't. Super Mario Bros. Wonder looks completely unique, and Odyssey came out some time ago and was unique, so there was that. But you could, even with those, you could still assume that there's some sort of restrictions placed on the devs, because after Galaxy 2 came out, which, while it did have some more unique characters in it, it had a lot less story than the original. Like, spoilers for Galaxy here, but the game ends with essentially you recreate the universe. And Rosalina, who is like the main guiding force throughout the game, is revealed to be just some cosmic entity who was at once just a girl in another universe prior to yours, and was like, oh, I'm just gonna explore space and help this star child find her family. And then entire childhood trauma happens when she finds out that her mom is dead. And then there you have it. She's now an multi-universal space princess. So that probably didn't sit well with brand recognition, which is sort of fair, but who knows if it caused it? I don't really know. Another possible cause, like I mentioned before, Super Paper Mario game went crazy with the story, and also created an apocalypse at the end, and even had a twist villain, which is, I don't know any other Mario game that has like a twist villain unless you count Bowser in Dream Team. The sound bars on this are not I keep accidentally moving the microphone. I hope I'm doing this right. Okay. Okay, cool. So, the thing that really makes this, I guess, a modern topic is the fact that in the last 2 Nintendo Directs, they have showcased both remakings of RPGs in the series that had original characters, and they've shown off Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which, like I said, has an absurd amount of original material in it. You got new power-ups, new enemies. Bowser gets an entire new design. It's just, this clearly wasn't done with as tight an IP restriction. And again, you got to draw parallels to Odyssey here. It came after I think 3D World, which again, while there were some original characters, there weren't as many as Odyssey. There's like Plessy, there's those marching guys, there's the bosses, and there's the bold. I I have to rack my brain for these. Meanwhile, for like Bowser's Inside Story, I can be like, oh yeah, that giant Goomba. Oh yeah, there's those underwater crocodiles. Who could forget the chain shuffles? So it's a lot harder to come up with them for 3D World, which I'm going to take as sufficient evidence here that it didn't have. And how did I rotate the microphone like this? I'm just gonna hold it like this now. Hopefully, it does not sound like crap. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Thanks to Odyssey and Wonder just being entirely inconsistent in these, we have had several hopes. Well, we've had one hope with Odyssey, but it's shaping up to be several. That the mandates are gone. And this time we actually have more evidence than just Odyssey, because again, the RPGs, which are Legends of the Seven Stars and Thousand Year Door, are getting remade, and both of those happened before the mandates were put into effect. So we have original characters, and it's not even just like we're remaking them, because Alpha Dream did remake them, and I guess they used that as a loophole. Not only did they have Square Enix working on the RPG, they also had, in the trailer, the most recent one, they showed a, okay, so this is going to require a bit of context. They, in the first Mario RPG, before the one that isn't, the one that's getting remade, there's a secret final boss that you could do that, it's an entire convoluted system to get it, but it's a crossover from a Final Fantasy game. I don't know which one, but it had a Final Fantasy boss theme, it had a lot of different stuff. And in the most recent trailer, it was confirmed that that same boss fight is actually gonna be in the remake. So already that's good hope for this. Second of all, in the Thousand Year Door trailer, there's a toad with a unique design. Now, you might be thinking, oh yeah, that's not that much. It's fine. It could still mean the mandates are in effect, but no. If you've ever played one of the past 3 Paper Mario games to come out, you'll know that the toads are just the same over and over and over. They're like copy-pasted, unless they're like of some use to you throughout your journey, or have some notoriety. They just look the same. They look the same. So, there's just a unique toad chilling in Rogueport. I think it's Rogueport. I don't know. It's been a while since I played it. And that toad has no notoriety, as far as I know. So, unless they decide to just add a side quest to the game, which would be even better for this case, that's a unique toad design. Intelligent systems may have actual freedom again, which is great. So, hopefully these things are coming to an end. They have ruined Paper Mario. One could make the case that they made Alpha Dream go bankrupt, which is, they should not have gone bankrupt. They made such fire games. And, again, it's more or less the reason why 2D platforming Mario has fallen off. So, hope, again, provided that it affects those games. If they just were there for brand recognizability, that would be a different case, but still, like, not what people are there for most of the time. Either way, let's hope I did this rather okay, and, well, I'll see you when I have something else to rant about. Goodbye.